Hi, I'm Kristen Denny-Chambers, clarinetist, composer, and founder of Clarinet Playground. This is video number 4 out of 40, going through Finger Fitness Études Book 2 with little coaching videos to help you as you go along. This etude is dedicated to Max Johnston. Let's take a look. Noodle Soup is dedicated to Max Johnston. He's a 9th grader at Skiatook High School and also a clarinetist in the Tulsa Youth Symphony. Max consistently receives top chair placements in the area honor bands like NCDA and MEOBDA, usually first or second chair, and every year he has received a superior rating on his solo performances so far. Max will be in the 10th grade next year, and it will be his first year to be eligible to audition for the All-State Band. So I'm really eager to see how he grows and continues with his music, and I'm sure he'll be very competitive. I wrote Noodle Soup for Max because he's one of those students that likes to noodle around a lot on the clarinet and experiment a little bit. Sometimes he'll play an etude or a solo in a lesson, and then he'll just add a little extra noodling at the end, which I think is really creative and fun. Let's dive into some details on the music. Taking a look at the practice tips, at the bottom of each page you'll find 1 or 2 little notes to help you as you get going with the piece. For this one, you look at the main drills and allow the movement to originate from the knuckles furthest back from the fingertips. So when we're going from low G to C, we want to keep that curve in the right hand as we lift and think about the movement originating from that back or biggest knuckle, kind of working on a hinge. We want to avoid doing something like this where all the movement is coming from the fingertips. So you kind of open and close like you're on a hinge. Now as we take a look at those finger drills, you see a little bit more what I'm talking about. So we want that low G up to C to work on that hinge and keep the curve. And also you're going to hit the register key and do the same movement as you play D to G. I think about leading with specific fingers to avoid extra notes or little blips in between. So when you're lifting up, lead with the highest finger. So you're going to lead with the pointer finger as you lift up, almost as if you would lift that finger first. And then when you go down, you're going to lead with your ring finger and think about it closing first. Even though, like that's not exactly what you're going to do, but if you think of it that way, it kind of helps to eliminate any extra notes or blips in between as you play. Aside from the main drills that you see at the top of the page, there's a lot going on in measure 1 and measure 3, so I went ahead and wrote out these extra drills to help you get those measures ready. Measure 1, you have C, G, F sharp, G as part of what's happening, and then you also have C, G, C, D, C. So I've taken that main motive and broken it up into 2 separate exercises, and that can really help you get ready. And you can try both the right side or the left side for the F sharp, just so you're comfortable with both sides. And then measure 3 has its own set of challenges because now we're lifting up to D, and that involves lifting fingers from both hands, whereas the first exercise, you're mainly just having to lift one hand. So measure 3 gets me a lot. It's something that you may have to pay attention to. I'll play through both of these drills to give you an idea of how you can use these in your practice. And measure 3. The style and character of Noodle Soup. It's quick, but with anything that needs to be quick, start slowly, make sure your fingers are happy and you're counting through the rhythms and you're really comfortable with it. But eventually we want it to be fast, quickly at a rolling boil into, getting this character like a steady boil in a pot of soup. So imagine you're cooking a big pot of soup. It's going to bubble up here and there. It might even pop at you a little bit. And then when you add more ingredients to it, it settles before it starts to bubble up again. And at the very end, it boils over. So the goal was to get that whole journey of cooking a pot of soup through this etude. You'll find some smooth slurred sections and also some pointed articulated sections. So here we have measure 1 showing the beginning, all 16th notes, lots of slurring. And then we have measure 9 where we get this little playful theme with some mixed articulation. I'll play both of those. Measure 17 and measure 25 are marked sweetly, so you can play these very expressively and with a little touch of sadness. The rhythms that you'll see in this etude include lots of running 16th notes, especially that opening motive, and then you'll have a few 8th notes followed by 16ths, and then your typical dotted 8th, 16th, 8th rhythm that you see down here in measure 13 as the example. Of course, just plain 8th notes as well. Nothing too horribly surprising, but do count carefully and look out for, especially like measure 22, look out for that pattern where you have 8th note followed by 4 16ths, and then just make sure your dotted rhythms are nice and crisp. I'll play these two examples. Some areas for focus. So overall, aim for even 16th notes with great rhythmic integrity. You can even try articulating the slurs. I do that a lot. It really helps me dig in and make sure my rhythms are very accurate. As we mentioned before, measure 3 is a challenge. That D to A interval can get really tricky, so you can always rewind the video back a little bit and look at that extra drill that I wrote out for practice. Measure 21 to 24, I think, is the most technically demanding section. You've got the 16th notes combined with some mixed articulation and the tenutos on the 8th notes, and you're going down in this sequential pattern, and you have to connect the registers. So there's a lot going on there, so spend some time there. And then, of course, the closing accelerando pushes your facility, so stay relaxed, practice it slowly at first, get up that C major scale, and make sure you can really rip to the end and go as quickly as you can, but staying relaxed. That's really critical. I'll play these two examples for you. Some final thoughts. Noodle Soup is quick, it's full of life, it's carefree. So once you've got it under your fingers, just have a little fun with it and let it go. And focus your attention on playing fluidly and with great rhythmic integrity. Anytime you're in a compound meter, the rhythms can really get to you. So make sure you're counting those and you're being really accurate. And then showcase as much character as possible. So we want really smooth 16th notes, like a constant boil, and then some playful pops in the bubbles, sweet and smooth as the boiling settles, and all of that good variety through this etude. And overall, just have a lot of fun with it. To listen to a beautiful recording of this etude and all other etudes from this book, head over to my website, clarinetplayground.com. Trevor Stewart has recorded all 40 etudes beautifully, and they are available for purchase there on my website. Feel free to join us in the Clarinet Playground group on Facebook, where we play and post for each other. And head over to my website at clarinetplayground.com for more fun music and books. Thank you so much.